Note of answers. Senator Hughes.
Deputy President, I rise to take note of Senator Hughes' questions to Minister Gallagher. Now, I know those opposite are still adjusting to what we know as government. They've spent so long in opposition, and we know they've spent the majority of time in opposition since Federation. But what they do need to start to understand is that they actually are in government now, and that government is actually about governing. It's about taking tough decisions in tough circumstances. Now, unlike those opposite, we actually will demonstrate some grace, and we'll acknowledge that there are plenty of global influences that are creating cost of living pressures that many, many Australians are experiencing. But what that means, though, is that it is even more important that the government, which is, again, those opposite, be proactive in their response. We need to make sure that the government is making decisions that are going to have the best possible outcome for Australian families as they face the challenges that cost of living pressures are creating. Now, what our role over here is to hold them to account. Now, we need to have a look at what's being proposed, and outrageously, we will actually make suggestions. We will propose things, having had a great depth of experience in government, of some of these solutions that would make an immediate difference. And one of those, what we talked about today, allowing pensioners, both on the disability support pension and the age pension, to increase the number of hours that they're able to work without having an impact on their pension. Now, we suggested this back in June 2022, so over 100 days ago. The idea apparently has now filtered through, not as an effective way as we had proposed, but now through their job skills /talkfest with the unions, they have come to some thought process that it might actually be worth considering. But this is where those in government now need to understand, and the Labor Party needs to understand, that they actually need to put national interests first, not their interests first. Not just the union's interests first, they need to put all Australians' interests first, and that includes small businesses, that includes families, that includes people that don't pay union fees, because the people that pay union fees are about 10% of the workforce, not the 41% of the workforce who are actually employed by small businesses, who are represented by one person versus the 33 representing unions at the Skills Talk Fest held last week. Now, we know that we're not going to see any action taken by this government unless it gets sign-off by the unions, that the tummy gets scratched by John Setker, and there they go and say, OK, the unions say we can do it. And I did note with much interest Senator O'Farrell's comparison between the South Australian government and the Albanese government. Well, the South Australian government gave the donation of the CFMMEU back after the ABCC claims became public, unlike the Albanese government. But we saw in question time again today the ministers that are responsible. We know there's only 4 of you because the Albanese government didn't put much weight on this chamber, so only appointed 4 ministers. Estimates are going to be crackingly long days and weeks for you. Looking forward to them. And Senator Polly, I hope we're there together. You know I like to give it a bit of interest for you. But they're just obfuscating when it comes to questions. They like to look back, the rearview mirror, it's where they're focused, because they don't have a solution. They don't have a plan. As they told us through the election campaign, they had a plan for a plan. We're just waiting to see what the plan is. They don't have a plan to address inflation, but hilariously today, here they are claiming about the indexation of the pension. Well, the policy for a very long time is the pension's been indexed every 6 months in line with inflation. That's why it's going up so much, is because inflation is so high. In fact, the last time we had inflation this high was back in the days, and for those of us, unfortunately, I don't go back to Woomera, I don't go back as far as Senator O'Farrell, but I do go back when I was at school to the recession we had to have. That was the last time inflation was as high as it is today. The recession we had to have under Prime Minister Keating, well, I'm just looking forward to those lines coming again, because the Albanese government looks like it's insistent on emulating the failures of the Keating government. This Skills Fest wasn't in the way of Hawke, It was a Rudd 2020 special that's going to produce a whole lot of nothing yet again.